I want to give Elon Musk a run for his money. I don't mean that in a bad way. By the way, my name's One Sir Grove, OSGOE. I am an entrepreneur. I've been involved in business enterprises going back since I was in high school, fresh out of high school. I have a new idea for a new business enterprise, new business entity. I believe it's one of the best ideas in America currently and in the world currently. Completely original, completely unique in what we seek to accomplish as an entity. I've spoken with folks about this, people I know, friends of mine who I do business with, friends from childhood who are business partners of mine. There are a lot of defense companies on the planet. Now, listen, by the way, thank you for tuning in. We want to thank everyone for tuning in. If it's your first time, if you've tuned in before, if you're a fan of the show, if you support the show, we appreciate you. I appreciate you on behalf of 495. So look, Elon Musk is a brilliant genius. He's a genius. Hands down, genius. The guy is brilliant. I've seen his work. I've seen his interviews. I've seen what he's working on. I've followed his career. Mastermind. Leonardo da Vinci type work that he's doing. Right there in the annals of time, right out of the canon of geniuses from throughout history. I've observed that. Many people have observed that. I know that at some time he came under scrutiny for some comments that he made. Whatever. Who gives a fuck? I don't. Point is this. He's a genius. He's brilliant. That's my observation. All politics aside. I don't know of a genius who's ever existed in human history who hasn't come under fucking scrutiny. You have critics on both sides. Those that will say, this person's totally delusional, Popeye, cuckoo, because that's what clones say. They say shit like that, okay? Fucking stupid motherfuckers say shit like that. They're just like, they want to be Debbie Downers, and they want to down someone and berate them and belittle them, and every other word used to describe the act of their hate for somebody that is an outside-the-box thinker who's doing shit that is original. Somebody goes against the grain. Someone's like, you know what? The earth isn't flat. All of a sudden, that person is a heretic. You guys know the fucking story, right? Edison, Watson, Maxwell, Weber, Pascal. It goes on. The names of every one of the scientists, brilliant minds, Einstein, whoever throughout time has been a great thinker, an amazing mind, a brilliant individual. That person has been labeled as insane, cuckoo, Popeye, crazy, lunatic, madman. So, or mad woman, whoever it's been, it doesn't matter. There isn't one person who's been infallible in that context where people are like, don't ever say anything ever in time, space, time, ever about this person in any kind of bad, negative, or derogatory way. Don't you ever negate what this person has done. Even Einstein. People are like, yeah, Einstein, fuck him. He got shit wrong. People give him too much credit. There are critics always on both sides of the coin. We know that as adults. So, Elon Musk, working on not just amazing, beyond fucking amazing, dude. Some of the shit that he's like the Hyperloop. Dude, what? Why wasn't the world doing the Hyperloop before? Anything that's created of this magnitude and scope. Okay, this breadth, this depth. The Hyperloop is some fucking just, man, that's some shit right out of the remake to Total Recall. Let's look this up here. Bear with me. I'm gonna look up some information here. What is this idiom? Let's see. The necessity. To necessitate. It's coming up here. Necessity is the mother of invention. I remember it before the Mandela effect, before the Hadron Collider turned on and CERN with quantum computers was altering timelines. I remember, well, it always has been in that, if you think about it, in the continuum of information, it has always been doing what it's doing. If you follow me on that and if you understand that. So, I remember this expression, this statement, this phrase, that necessity is the mother of all invention. But nonetheless, bottom line, necessity is the mother of invention. This is from Wikipedia. Necessity is the mother of invention. Let's explore this very quickly as my computer here brings up. Okay, history, meaning, Oxford Dictionary, proverb. The proverb has been defined as when, quote, when the need for something becomes imperative, you are forced to find ways of getting or achieving it. Okay, all right, cool. And then it says history. The author of this proverb is unknown. It is commonly misattributed to Plato due to Benjamin Jowett's popular idiomatic 1871 translation of Plato's Republic. It goes on, where in the book 2, or where in book 2, 369c, his translation reads, quote, the true creator is necessity, who is the mother of our invention. Okay, so it's misattributed to that, but that isn't the same. Okay, whatever the fuck, man. Wherever this came from, however this came to be, popular culture criticism. Hold on. In an address to the Mathematical Association of England on the importance of education in 1917, Alfred North Whitehead argued that, quote, the basis of invention is science, and science is almost wholly the outgrowth of pleasurable intellectual curiosity. Well, that's a mouthful, not to negate what he said. And in contrast to the old proverb, necessity is the mother of futile dodges, is much nearer to the truth. Okay, so this is, it looks like Spanish, Danish, Polish, Russian, Arabic. The Arabic translation is quite literally, which literally means, it says here on Wikipedia, Arabic, which literally means necessity is the mother of invention. Russian, which literally means poor people are crafty. Wow. Polish, which literally means necessity is the mother of the inventions. So it looks like the common denominator. Wow, Danish. Need teaches the naked woman to spin. Spanish, the necessity is the mother of science. All right, so we see the common denominator here. We see the math. We see what it all reverts to, what it points to, what it leads back to. Necessity is the mother of invention. Well, there's a necessity for us to understand things in space, higher dimensions, extra dimensions, paradimensions, trans dimensions. In other words, different dimensions. We have to understand these things. Therewith, it has been stated that something like 95% of our universe is currently still undecoded by us humans. So 95% of the universe is undecoded. Well, I understand that in the modern context of things, there is a defense contracting community, if you will, of folks who seek to go out into space, in other words, non-terrestrially, off the planet Earth into space, what is referred to as space, outer space, actually. Because on Earth, there is space within our atmosphere. You have space to move around, to move about. When you go outside Earth's space, outside our Earth's atmosphere, outside our Earth's atmosphere, when you're outside Earth's atmosphere, you're in outer space, right? Seems straightforward so far, thus far, right? Yes, correct? All right, here's where I'm going with it all. Every single defense contracting company that I've seen in the compendium of companies that is involved in space is involved in going into space as you, mainstream society folks, myself included, me included, I'm included, we're mainstream, right? On some level we are. So, we humans, some would argue the grammar on that. We, in the mainstream, as an example, we see these companies We observe what they do. They want to go into fucking space, right? Because it's all about going into space, getting off Earth, exploring and seeing what's out in space, right? So that's what these companies are tooled for. That's what they're geared for. Their tools, their toolboxes, their gears are all set for that. That's their business model. So if I'm in front of an audience, I've only given 10 minutes of a presentation. In less than 15 minutes, if I were to be given 15 minutes, I mean, man, to fucking deliver information as I will, a lot of people, they'll go on with their business plan model for like a half a fucking hour. I'll explain it clearly in less than 15 minutes. I'm just leading up to it with a tad bit of suspense here because I don't think a lot of people know where I'm actually going with this. So I'm at 11 minutes. 99.9% of these companies are focused on going into space. Who the fuck is focused on going into hyperspace? How many companies are hyperspace technology-based fucking companies? Hey man, people want to go to Mars, right? People want to go to motherfucking Venus. People want to go to Uranus. They want to go to these planets within our galaxy, right? Who the fuck is talking about interstellar space like the movie Interstellar? Like the real world Interstellar would be if we were to do that. Like who's saying, well, we need to plan for the eventuality that we will, as humans, be traveling through black holes sometimes very soon. I mean, I'm sure we fucking already are, and our government is just not reporting that information to the public. People can have their arguments on both sides of that debate. Nonetheless, where's the private sector company that is saying, okay, well, at some point we're going to be in space? Oh, that's right. We already are in space. Some companies, I talked to this guy, his company, I won't mention the name of the company. They're working on Saturn missions, like legit Saturn missions with rockets for like observation of Saturn, satellite shit. So, and again, there are a lot of companies. I'm not going to mention his particular company because he shared that information with me confidentially. Confidentially, he shared that information with me. So I'm not going to violate his trust. There are a lot of companies involved in deep space exploration. Companies involved in satellite operations. Who's involved in hyperspace? Who is saying, okay, once we're in space, we might encounter a black hole? We don't fucking know where all the black holes are. Black holes were theoretical at some point. Now we know that they exist. What the fuck happens if you're in space with one of your spacecrafts in India from India, or China from China, America from the European Space Agency, the Canadians, the Australians, Africans, whoever the fuck is in space? What happens if you encounter a black hole? What the fuck do you know about hyperspace? What are we going to do when hyperspace is encountered? What company is geared toward and to hyperspace technologies? You're building materials, these companies are, when I say you, your companies are building materials to withstand space, the stresses of space and deep space exploration. What about black hole exploration? Navigating technologies into and through and around and about black holes. Fucking seriously. Who's doing that shit? Who's even thinking to do that? I'm sure there's someone out there like me. Where's the company? What's the name of the fucking company? So I know the U.S. military has already planned for some shit like that. Like, okay, we're in space. We got some spacecrafts and shit. Whatever we want to tell people they are, classified payloads, shuttles, Atlantis, whatever, right? NASA, spacecraft, some of it classified, some of it not. What if we encounter some black hole that just pops up out of nowhere because we had no idea that there was a black hole, like right here? Like maybe Earth was spawned from a black hole, right? And we just don't know that there's a black hole like right there. Okay? So I know the military has it in mind, and therefore it's a contingency plan. In the private sector, that is what I intend to create and build. A company based on hyperspace exploration. How do we begin? How do we start? It's fucking simple. We start looking at materials. What is hyperspace, first of all? Got to map it. Got to figure it out. Got to understand what it is on an electromagnetic spectral level. Is it space within space? Is it other space? In the manifold of space-time, curvature of time and space and time. What is other space? What is known space? What is Minkowski space? What is a Kaluza-Klein? What is a Kaluza-Klein? How many different types of black holes are there? Type 1, type 2, type 3? Is there type 4, 5? Are there 10 types? There are many more types of black holes. Nebulae. Different types of celestial phenomena that is almost never shown in mainstream science, in textbooks, in schools, colleges, universities. Hypergeometries, hyperdimensional, extra-dimensional space. Where the fuck is it? Who knows? Gotta find it. Gotta know what it is. That is the process of decoding the other 95% of undecoded space-time. That's our mission. That should be our mission. Not just taking these old rockets with these solid fucking propulsion rocket booster systems and taking these model toy rockets, because they're basically model rocket sets that we had as kids, just bigger scale, larger scale, and fucking shooting these like model rockets out into space. Come on, man. We all know that anti-gravity is a real technology. Anti-gravity, zero-point energy, ZPG. We all know that it's a real technology. It's not theoretical, just like quantum computers used to be referred to as theoretical, and we all know that D-Wave exists now and was, at least in the private sector, because the military obviously had quantum computers before D-Wave. But D-Wave, when it materialized, it became the world's first real, actual working quantum computer that exists to this day. Man, you can go on fucking YouTube and you can look up videos involving anti-gravity. There are people that made anti-gravity devices and machines before, and a lot of the information was suppressed. We know that. You can see the videos, you can see the actual videos that surfaced, that leaked, and that got out to the public. So anti-gravity is real, and it's something that ultimately we're going to need to fully understand and we're going to need to work with, especially in the context of hyperspace exploration and travel. We start by creating materials based on research and development. We find out what types of materials, we discover what types of materials could withstand the flight navigation, the traversal of a Kerr black hole. How do you send an object into a Kerr black hole versus another type of black hole? How do you disperse an object, even a packet of data, into a Kerr black hole? We have to get there first. Once we get there, we have to have the tools, the material science to be able to interact with a Kerr black hole. So, anti-gravity is one tool that is needed, is one technology that is needed. We need glass-like materials in order to withstand hyperspace travel, because it is my hypothesis, it is my theory, it is my postulate, it is my belief that translucent-like materials, glass, in other words, glass-like materials, are the key to hyperspace travel. You see people building, companies building these ships that are made out of these metals and ceramic-like materials. I'm investigating a whole class of materials that are glass-like, translucent-like materials. That would be the whole of these crafts. And their onboard electronics, in other words, molecular electronics that are malleable, that are bendable, that are shapeable, that can basically transform in some respect over time. So when traveling through hyperspace, given the stresses of approaching and or exceeding the speed of light, you're going to need materials that work with light itself. So we need to start by research. And that is how we build this company. Research and then development of these types of materials. Pretty fucking simple, pretty fucking straightforward, not far-fetched, not far-flung. Am I the first person to come up with this? I don't believe so. I'm sure it's not isolated. This idea, this conjecture that I have, I'm sure there's some company out there that's working on hyperspace materials for hyperspace, hypersonic, interstellar, flight, deep space, quantum entanglement, if you will, flight. Because when you traverse a Kerr, believe that Kerr black holes are navigable, that you will not be ripped apart as would be the case in other types of black holes. It is believed that a human being can, in fact, travel through a Kerr black hole. Now, what's on the other side? Who the fuck knows? Maybe someone does. I'm sure there is someone out there who knows, who has that information. 99.9% of mainstream society doesn't have that information. But it is inevitable, and it is inevitable, that at some point, humans will need to know. If you're traveling through motherfucking space in a goddamn rocket, ship, spaceship, or whatever type of craft, and you're in space, you're going to need to know about fucking hyperspace. There's going to need to be a company, and thus companies involved in hyperspace exploration. It's a product. It's not a byproduct. It's a product of that process, of that system of going into space, deep space, different quadrants of space-time. We need to be looking at hyperspace, not just regular motherfucking space. We need to be looking at other types of space, other spaces, and the very real process of traveling through a Kerr black hole and other types of black holes. What are the effects? What are the impacts on the craft? What is the impact? What happens? Where does the material go? Where do the data objects, the pixels that make up the construct of whatever it is that you send through? In other words, if you have a baseball and you throw it into a fucking black hole, does it ever really actually truly reach the black hole? Or does it just indefinitely, forever, perpetually go in the direction, trajectory of the black hole and just never actually makes it to the black hole? Is it just stuck somewhere near the event horizon? Is it part of the event horizon? And if it were to ever, at some time, make it to that barrier, they call it the bulk, just like in the movie Interstellar. If you research it, it's there. Just like in our galaxy, there's the heliosphere, the heliopause, okay? And you send data objects or probes, electronic, whatever, nanomaterials. You send telescope in the way of a satellite, because it's a satellite with the telescope basically on it. It's telescopic. You can see through a lens. You send some type of robotic probe, whatever it is, some mechanical, electronic contrivance device. You're sending an object, whatever that may be, that is intelligently operated either by itself and or with the inclusion of a human operator, if a human operator needs to take over, if you can even communicate at that distance. Most likely it's going to operate autonomously and send back signals if it can. They may take thousands of years to reach back, to touch back, or millions of years or zillions of years, but at some point they're going to return. So you're sending these objects through different quadrants of space-time. Potentially, I would say invariably and inevitably, we are sending probes into black holes. We should be saying to ourselves, we all know this is going to happen. We are going to do this. This is the natural progression of our scientific endeavor, our science community with respect to space exploration. We need to figure out how to traverse motherfucking black holes. Of course, the U.S. military is already light years ahead. You know they are. You should fucking know that they are. And that none of this shit is science fiction anymore, and none of it is fringe science. So, my point is, where is the ground-based, earth-based, terrestrial private sector company or conglomerate consortium of companies. Where's the cluster of companies involved in hyperspace exploration? Don't you think that would have an added benefit to NASA and the European Space Agency, ESA? Don't you think that would be helpful for humans overall as a global community to know what hyperspace entails, what types of materials are applicable and efficient in hyperspace? We need to fucking figure it out. So it's not lunatic. It's not insane. It's not insanity. It's not delusion. It's not delusional. It's imperative. So that's the very nature of our undertaking. We are going to create a private sector company involved in hyperspace research and development. Very straightforward. Nothing fucking crazy. Nothing off one's rocker. Oh, that dude, he's off his rocker. He's talking about, yeah, what? Elon Musk is off his rocker is what they said? Is he really now? Okay? I'm not off my fucking rocker either. I'm talking about some very simple, straightforward shit that other people ought to actually be contemplating and talking about. I just happen to be visionary and forward fucking thinking on this thing. So in under 30 minutes, man, I've very easily described what it is that I'm doing, that I intend to do. How many people have heard this podcast? Handful? Who knows? Hundreds? Over 1,000? Okay. How many fucking took it seriously? How many have taken it seriously? How many do you think out of the population, out of the audience are like, hey man, you're actually right. There's got to be one person out there, man. It's got to be someone who's like, dude, you're absolutely fucking correct, Rove. Like, that's a good business model. Shit, that's a good fucking startup idea. You see? Because I know that what I'm saying is viable. And that's why I've spearheaded this business activity on my own accord with colleagues of mine who are nerdy, geeky, just like I am. I'm a nerd, I'm a geek. My buddies, man, from childhood, we've talked about this kind of thing. There are a lot of private military companies that go around and they provide support to mission. They complement the U.S. military. They go looking for terrorists in foreign nations. And they're involved in peacekeeping operations. There are a lot of companies that build aircrafts, aerospace materials, aerospace flight, space exploration. There are a lot of companies that do that. I haven't seen too many companies, man, that are involved in hyperspace R&D. No. And I've been researching hyperspace for the past more than 30 years now, independently. And I've decided that it's time to actually form a company to get involved in research and development, to be involved in actual bona fide R&D, research and development, similar to aerospace companies building spacecraft and aircraft. It's just that simple. Our emphasis, our focus, our niche will be specialized materials. In other words, special materials that are highly, extremely durable, to say the least, capable of enduring the most extreme stresses of not just space, but hyperspace, the addition of hyperspace. Objects that have the potential to traverse certain categories, thus types of naturally occurring and artificially occurring black holes. We have created microsingularities on Earth in laboratories. That is a fact of record. If something were to happen and we have to go looking for someone in one of these microsingularities who's been sucked into one, or a facility, or a group of individuals, we're going to need to have the tools to do that. Think about that. I'm your boy, One Sir Grove.